the heart and soul behind every business. Stories. Welcome to Business Story of the Week, hosted by me, Joshua Laurie. From setbacks to comebacks, from tragedies to triumphs, we inspire entrepreneurs through conversations that matter. Witness the magic that turns dreams into reality. Whether it's your career, business, or life, your success is always one story away. This is Business Story of the Week. And welcome back, folks. Welcome back to Business Story of the Week. I am your host, Joshua, and today's question is: what does it take to turn unimaginable trauma into a triumphant success story? Ladies and gentlemen, we are no strangers to this topic here on the show. I know that audience and listeners here love having these stories just as much as I do, and love even more the guests that we bring in here, who are voices of resilience and triumphant success. Dr. Luissa Kiprono is the perfect guest to answer that question with us. She is a CEO physician, high risk pregnancy specialist, and successful entrepreneur who overcame shocking captivity and abuse at the hands of her father. In her recently released nonfiction book, Push, Then Breathe: Trauma, Triumph, and the Making of an American Doctor, she details her own journey of escape and ultimately victory in an inspiring tale sure to empower women around the world. And today she shares that tale, she shares that story with us, and we are honored to have her as a guest today. Dr. Luissa, thank you for coming on here. How are you doing?
Joshua, it is a tremendous pleasure to be in your show. Thank you for having me. I am doing great and I am ready to dive into the story and talk to our audience, speak to you, and answer any questions.
Absolutely. I mean, first of all, before we really get into it, I would love to thank you for your bravery. The courage, of course, is important. It's something that we need more in the world. Voices like yours who are giving courage to others as well, because, you know, when people see that courage in others, it gives them the same courage to also tell their stories. And stories is what heals us. And that's literally the second title of this show, right? Business stories. So we're not just going to touch up on all of that, but we are going to go back to the origins of where it all began. What is the story of Dr. Luissa Kiprono? I understand you were a young immigrant who came to America. That in itself was a struggle, um, uh, and you like mentioned as well your forced captivity, which you detail in your book. Dr. Luissa, is there anything else in your stories that you feel needs to be shared, or like, if any pivotal moments at all in your stories, in your experiences, we'd love to know. Share to us, what is it that you have had to overcome? What is the story of Dr. Luissa Kiprono?
Well, Joshua, I'll take you in a very kind of a fast speed approach, since my life and my journey it's so packed with very non-traditional experiences. Let's call it.
Mm-hmm.
I was born and raised in former communist Romania. The
Yeah.
first almost 19 years were
Mm-hmm.
spent there growing up. Definitely a different kind of life and
Mm-hmm.
society than we experience here in America
Mm-hmm.
and in the free world. But one thing is that I had the love and the protection and the support of my family.
Mm-hmm.
Um, my father was a former political dissident who
Mm-hmm.
escaped Romania and came first through Germany and to the United States.
Mm-hmm.
So he settled here in the United States.
Mm-hmm.
So when I was a month shy of 19 years of age, I got an invitation from him to come visit him. Now, you have to understand that I barely knew my father.
Mhm.
I only met him twice during my upbringing, and
Mhm.
I really, as a young, young adult, but
Mhm.
also someone that wanted to know who is the other parent.
Mhm.
Um, I accepted the invitation, and I came here for a 2 months visit.
Mhm.
Didn't know the language. English was not part of my foreign language curriculum at school.
Mhm.
I spoke Romanian,
Mhm.
French, and German. So
Mhm.
I had no family here in the United States besides him
Mhm.
that I knew. I had no language. I uh, had no money, nothing like that. But I came here for a 2 months visit because I wanted to meet him,
Mhm.
get to know him. Then the plan was to go back home, take my medical school admission exams, and go to medical school, become a doctor. So that was the
Mhm.
plan.
Mhm.
So shortly after I stepped foot in the United States, um, I started being very uncomfortable of things that were started to kind of lurk in the background, mainly because my father was interested to have me stay here for good, and I was not
Mhm.
aware of that. Very long story short, he proceeded to take my passport
Wow.
away, change my name.
Wow.
I applied for political asylum
Mhm.
to remain in this country. I again remember I did not speak any language, so he wrote this very very lengthy letter to the embassy and to the American government, and I was forced to sign it. And
Wow.
all this is actually very very well captured in my book.
Mhm.
So then I was kept captive
Mhm.
for about 6 years and 8 months, so
Oh my goodness.
2,422 days, until I finally escaped. And the way I escaped was not that I just ran away. I really, at first, I became an American citizen.
Mhm.
So
Mhm.
7 years later, I became an American citizen. I received a small monetary gift from my mom
Mhm.
that helped me secure a car, a small apartment, and
Mhm.
with the working, because I was working all these years, low paying jobs, but they
Okay.
were, they helped me able to, when I made the move, I could at least rely on them when,
All
to
right.
pay my bill.
Okay.
So
To take a breather for a little bit, we'll take a breather. So that was a harrowing story, Dr. Louisa. Nobody deserves, of course, even a day in captivity. And you spent 16,000, am I correct? 60,
6 years and eight
six,
months.
6 years and 8 months. You counted the days, so I must have misheard that. But 6 years and 8 months. Dr. Louisa, that is quite the story. But you found a beautiful rainbow rising after a ravaging storm. Is what I remember in one of your introductions. Um,
Yeah.
a few questions right in between there. Within those 6 years, first you were in contact. You were still in contact with your mother, and you were able to land a few jobs within that time frame as well. Were you also able to learn English as well during that time?
I did learn the language as
Mm-hmm.
I started working,
Mm-hmm.
in grocery stores, and also working in real estate. I really did a lot of odds and ends jobs. Now you have to also remember when I say captivity, it
Mm-hmm.
was captivity, Joshua.
Mm-hmm.
All the finances were kept by him,
Mm-hmm. Of
with
course.
him.
Mm-hmm.
I was allowed to have a small allowance, $1
Mm-hmm.
a week.
Mm-hmm. What?
I But that is not only that. It was
Mhm.
the mental abuse, it
Mhm.
was the physical abuse,
Mhm.
there was incest, there
Mhm.
was um, there were abortions,
Mhm.
there was everything that could keep me shackled in
Oh my
captivity
goodness.
with this man that he was supposed to be my father.
Exactly. And the story is heavier that way because these are people you're supposed to trust, people you are expecting to to protect you, people you are expecting to keep you from harm, to keep you safe. Your journey obviously involved overcoming these immense adversity, your captivity, your abuse. Were there some key moments that you remember or turning points that help you overcome? Like I guess this is the time where we could start talking about your escape. um and then after that there's also some bit of transition that needed to happen, but first talk to us a little bit about the escape.
So, as you say about what were the anchors, what are
Hmm.
the anchors that kept me sane, kept me going. So first, as a physician, we always look at the mental anguish and the mental
Yes.
stages, and what I did go through reminds me very well when I started analyzing with the 7 stages of grief.
Oh, right, I see.
When we deal with that, we go through shock,
Yes, of course.
denial, anger, bargaining,
Hmm.
depression.
Hmm.
Finally, we get to acceptance, but more so after acceptance, we
Hmm.
come to hope, because
Wow.
it is
Wow.
then when you accept the present as it is, and then you start looking, there has to be a way out, that has
It
to be
has to be.
built,
Hmm.
hope. Then when your resilience starts,
Hmm.
you are in this very, very dark place, and
Yes.
you need to find your anchors, whatever those are, to be
Hmm.
able to help you get through this hell
Hmm.
and come out to the light, to the other side.
Hmm. Hmm.
Mine was really my dream. I've
Hmm.
always wanted to become a doctor, Joshua, since I was a fifth grader.
Oh,
I
wow.
always wanted to help people, first, to gain their health,
Wow.
and then later on, through the years, to also for their mental wellness, to
Right.
be a whole
Right.
whole person.
Hmm.
But
Hmm.
also, I had my mom. My mom, from Romania, across thousands of miles, she always, kept me hoping, supporting me, even though she didn't know what I was going through.
Oh, she
Because you
did
see,
not know.
nobody knew what
Oh
I was
my
going
goodness.
through. It was this shame and this,
Of
how
course.
shame was like, how could I even believe? How could I believe in such a person?
Of
See, we
course.
always blame ourselves.
Of
And
course.
we need to figure out a way how to break away from that. Because,
Hmm.
truth be
Hmm.
told, we are not the ones that
Hmm.
initiated or enticed us. We are
Yes,
just
of
the
course.
victim of a situation.
Hmm. I understand.
And then, so I would keep in touch with her, with like weekly phone calls that were
Hmm.
60 seconds in length, 59 seconds to be more correct.
Hmm. Hmm.
And then I had a cat, and that other, life around me, that other being, just
Oh.
kept me human, kept me have this, you know, still being able to feel
Yes, of
emotions,
course.
feel the
Of course.
fact that, hey, I'm
Hmm.
not a wall, a stone, anything that
Hmm.
has no feelings or emotions.
Hmm.
So those are my anchors.
And these are very important as well. And I mean, first of all, this it's important. I think that we dive deep into them, or rather, acknowledge them. First of all, your dream to be a doctor, very very important anchor, internal anchor that is yours. And also something to connect to, something that is always familiar with you, which is your mother. But unfortunately, we always suffer in shame and we always blame ourselves that you were not able to tell your mother. But you still, had that at least one family that you could rely on is a very, very important anchor. And of course, cats, I mean, they're always lovely pets, having them around, having that life to take care of, having that, like, I cannot go because who's going to take care of her? Right. And the care and the safety that wasn't provided to you, you are now providing it to a different life, to another life. Might I ask, what was the name of that cat, Dr. Louisa?
Her name was Suzette.
Suzette. Ah, what a lovely, lovely cat. I we love to, of course, shout out to Suzette. All the love to your mother as well for sticking with you. And um, but now you said your mother was able to provide you with you were able to get a car eventually through the help of your mother. Talk to us
Mhm.
about real quickly about that, how you were able to escape, and how did this support from your mother came about. And talk to us about the reunion, because you had to talk about it, right? It had to have You had to have that conversation eventually. So walk us through that a little bit.
So it was about 2 months
Mhm,
before my citizenship
mhm,
was going to be awarded to me.
mhm,
And that was in 1995,
mhm,
1994, right in December.
mhm, mhm,
I went home briefly to see my mom.
mhm,
I was allowed to travel for 5 days to Romania.
mhm.
As you know, people who travel, to Europe or across the ocean, they know that going and having a trip for 5 days, it's quite it's quite overwhelming. By the time you get
Mhm,
there, you have to come back, right?
mhm,
So I
mhm,
went home, and my mom pulled me to the side, and she gave me an envelope with $1,000,
okay.
which was a great deal of money
Yes, of
in that
course. Mhm,
times in communist Romania.
mhm,
I did not want to take it, and
mhm,
that motherly feeling, she felt that something
of
wasn't
course.
right.
Mhm, mhm.
But the second thing was that, and I want to bring my audience and you to this very important piece.
Oh,
My
please.
father promised me two things in order to stay here. One,
Mhm.
to bring my mom to the United States,
Okay.
and that never happened, to remarry her and become a family. And then
Oh
the
my.
second was
Oh
to
my.
help me go to medical school.
Oh my.
See, that was the lure. That
Mhm,
medical school dream of mine was
mhm,
such a lure that he will
mhm,
help me. And my
mhm,
idea was I am going to go to medical school and become free and
mhm, mhm.
escape this life that I
Mhm.
had for 7 years.
Wow.
So when I went home, my mom told me that she talked to him, and he
Okay.
confided in her that he had no intention to
Oh
help
my
me
goodness.
go to
Oh
medical
my
school.
goodness.
So I found that out when she gave me the money, and I reluctantly took it. And then 2 months later, he left for Romania in a short visit to visit his side of the
Mhm.
family. And
Okay.
at that time, after I got my citizenship on December 3rd, I made the executive decision to move out. I got a small apartment. I put down payment for an apartment. I got a small car with
Okay.
the help of my friend,
Okay.
who drove me around to find a car.
Okay.
And then when my father returned, I confronted him,
Mhm.
and a couple of days later, I moved out. So
Wow. Okay.
that's how we went.
All right. Okay. So I first of all, I'm glad that there wasn't, or based on how you said it, there wasn't much of a struggle as you were trying to leave. Am I correct?
Well, you see, you have to understand that all this was never revealed to anyone
Hmm.
until the book came out.
Hmm. Oh
My
my
mom
goodness.
was not aware of the
Hmm.
tremendous things that I went through.
Hmm.
So when that happened, I made it very clear that if I could not leave, I will go ahead I go to the authorities.
Oh,
We
wow.
had
Okay.
an altercation, and
Okay.
really, when the officer came to the house
Okay.
when I wanted to leave, and he wouldn't let me leave, says, she's an adult. She can leave anytime
Yes.
she wants. And
Yes.
I did not go into any details, and he had to let me leave.
Okay. All right. Okay. Wow. So I'm glad that you weren't harmed, at least at the very last moment that you were about to leave. I'm glad that you had the helpers, you had the support around you. I'm always reminded by the quote by Fred Rogers, where he says, "Always look for the helpers. There are always people wanting to help." I love that, and I love that was what happened for you, and of course, mothers, Dr. Louisa, mothers, of course they know. Of course she felt there was something wrong. And I love that she listened to that intuition. She listened to that love for her daughter, for her child, that, you know, something is aloof and she needs my help without you even telling her, oh, would the world be? What would we do without a mother's love? Dr.
That
Louisa,
is so.
I'm happy that you're here with us today. I'm just glad that you found the courage, you found the support around you to escape that adversity. Of course, all of this is in your book, Push, Then Breathe, which I love the title, by the way. But it's one thing to escape, right? It's one thing to that's an entire, of course, complete the bravery it took to do that. It's one thing to escape, but it's another type of bravery, another set of challenges, another digging deep into that courage to transition into a life outside of that captivity. How would you how did you live this life now that you were outside? Because this is where you truly overcome adversity, right?
Yes.
Being from a victim to a survivor and ultimately a thriver. How do you face your own challenges and your struggles once you've escaped your adversity?
Well, I'm so grateful that you honed in that, because
Mhm.
it is so true. It's one thing, when you are in such a captive, such a
Mhm.
shackled situation, all you want is to escape, and all you
Yeah.
want is to, okay, I'm going to escape. I'm going to take the life by the horns, and I'm going to make it my life, right?
Mhm.
And then once you are on the other side,
Mhm.
life starts hitting you.
Yes.
So I had three jobs. I was working three
Mhm.
jobs. I was trying to make end meets, and kind of life does get in the way,
Yes.
because now, it's only 24 hours in a day. It is not
Of
much.
course.
So I I could feel how my dream was pulling away from me. Okay,
Right.
but
Right. Right. Right.
I did not have any desire to face that.
Mhm. Mhm.
But it's like one of those things that, yeah, we're going to do it, we're going to do it, we're going to do it,
Mhm.
but
Mhm.
then something else comes on. So a
Mhm.
year later, after my freedom, I invited my mom for the first time to come to the United States. Yeah, I was an
Okay.
American citizen. Now I can have someone, a member of my
Yes.
family, come and
Yes. Yes.
visit. So she came for a couple of months, and I want to share this moment
Oh,
with
please.
my
Please.
audience, because it
Please.
means so much to me, and
Please.
that is really the pivotal moment
Mhm.
that helped me get back on that dream of mine
Mhm.
and get a hold of it and
Mhm.
really find the agency. So we were on Thanksgiving Day. We just got out of mass,
Mhm.
and we were walking this path together in the snow. This was
Mhm.
in New Hampshire,
Mhm.
and all of a sudden everything became quiet, and she stops,
I
and
see.
behind me, and I looked, and I'm like, okay, well, maybe she saw something, right?
Mhm.
Well, she looks at me and she asks me this question.
Mhm.
Says, "What about your dream, Luisa?
Oh.
What about your school?"
Mhm.
And at that moment, I felt like I fell through a frozen ice, through a frozen lake in the winter. It
Wow.
just kind of was like, whoa, what is just happening? So I
Mhm.
looked at her. I says, Mom, what about my school?
Mhm.
Don't you see what I do? Don't you see how much I work?
Mhm.
And Joshua, she didn't say anything else.
Mhm.
She didn't start talking about it. She did not, started bringing her own, point of view, nothing. But that question and that moment made me realize that I'm about to let this dream go away again,
Wow.
and I will never pick it up. So
Mhm.
that day I went from feeling hopeless to
Mhm.
finding agency, from
Yes.
feeling that I have wasted all these years to be like,
Right.
it's never too late. So
Right.
we are going to take ownership of this and we'll make it happen.
Mhm.
So about in January of the following year, so after she left, I applied to get into the
Wow.
undergrad.
Wow.
I got accepted at UMass Lowell in Massachusetts.
Mhm.
I finished my undergrad in 2 years,
Mhm.
joined the Air Force. I received a HPSP scholarship, which is the Health
Wow.
Profession Scholarship through the Air
Mhm.
Force. And
Wow.
I got accepted to medical school. And 4 years
You're
later,
doing.
in 2002, I graduated from
Wow.
medical school. I became a doctor. I achieved my dream.
Wow, and you have been living that dream for more than 20 years now, Dr. Louisa. What a story. What a way to overcome adversity. And we were talking about this earlier. It's one thing to escape that adversity, but it doesn't mean you are outside of that prison. Unless you truly live a life of your own to start creating your world. Because some people may escape captivity, but most there are still a lot of people that remain captive in their own ways, right? Like if
Yes,
you would have never picked up that dream of yours, then you would actually be giving power to your father still, and what he did to you and the captivity that he had you go through. You are still a prisoner to him if you never picked up that dream. It's lovely.
yes.
It's beautiful because then you gave yourself that hope. You gave yourself success, and hope truly, I believe, is what the defining moment of overcoming that adversity. Dr. Louisa, your call to action is, you said, embrace the possibilities, overcome and influence the world, your world. And that's very important because you get to define your world.
The world.
How do you
Yes.
now encourage others to find their true potential and make a positive impact in their own lives and communities despite the struggles and adversities that they are facing?
So one of the greatest things about humans is that we all
Mhm.
have a dream. We
Mhm.
have a desire. We have a
Mhm.
goal. But we do have to identify it and
Yes.
say, what exactly do I want? What
Yes.
do I want in life? What it takes me to from going from just living
Mhm.
and surviving through life
Mhm.
to thriving. See, there's
Yes.
two different things,
Yes, of course.
Yes, I could have lived from day to day to day, but
Mhm.
really, do we just want to live or do we
Mhm.
want to thrive? Do we
Yes.
want to reach our own potential?
Yes.
And
Yes,
that
of course.
is first, we must find it, grab onto it,
Mhm.
and then just take ownership.
Yes.
So, in
Yes.
order to do that, we have to. I call that my tenets. So,
Yes.
one is you have to be realistic, consistent, patient, and grab that dream and don't let it go. Okay,
Beautiful.
find it, identify it, but be realistic.
Of
Okay,
course.
because
Of course.
what happened is it doesn't get built overnight. It
Yes.
has to take Things have to take its rightful place to be
Mhm.
able to achieve from A to Z. So patience and
Yes.
consistency and
Hmm.
planning. Those are very, very important. If you don't have patience, you get ahead of yourself and
That's true.
then you just run out of steam. If you
Hmm.
don't have consistency,
Hmm.
it's the consistency and the self-discipline that it doesn't,
Yeah.
this is not a sprint. This is
Mm-hmm.
a marathon. It's a
It is.
10,000 mile, I call it, journey. So you
Yeah.
have to pace yourself to be able to get there. But you
Yes.
have to put the foot in front of the other every single
Every
day.
day. Every
And
day.
you know, we all, there's no such a thing that is a perfect life. There is no such a
Mm.
thing that we all gonna have only good days. And
Yes.
then that not so good days, just
Hmm.
remember it's okay to pause. It's
Yes.
okay to offer yourself self kindness.
Hmm.
And that's not quitting, it's just
Hmm.
pausing so you can regroup
Precisely.
and start again.
Yes.
So, when I say kindness, think about that you have a cup, okay? Your cup of coffee, right? But this
Yes.
is a metaphoric cup.
Hmm.
Fill
Hmm.
your cup
Hmm.
with whatever gives you joy and fulfillment.
There you go.
Whether it is running, meditating,
Hmm.
painting,
Hmm.
journaling,
Hmm.
swimming. Do you see what I'm trying to say? It's that thing that brings you joy inside and
Hmm.
say, now I gave myself an hour. I recharged my batteries. Now I
Hmm.
can get back at it, and I feel so much better. And you
Hmm.
have to remember to fill this cup every
Hmm.
day,
Every day.
because if you don't, you're going to get depleted. Life takes so much out of us just as it is, but then trying to accomplish the unimaginable, the seemingly impossible,
Hmm.
becomes so much better when you have your cup full, you have your dream in your hand. And one more thing, you have to have a lighthouse.
Wow.
We
Okay.
can't get go at it alone.
Hmm.
You have
Hmm.
to find this special person or
Yes.
animal or
Yes.
somebody that will be able to you'll be able to lean on.
Hmm.
It
Hmm.
again, I call them a lighthouse because you look at them, you look towards them, you trust them, they trust and believe in you, and they are willing to help you cross those days that are not so good. When you
Yes.
are down and you think that this is not going to happen, you just
Hmm.
reach out and talk to them and they will listen, and they'll be like, oh yeah, oh yeah, you can do it. And if you are down for too long, they're gonna kick you a kick in the butt and like, no, 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 you're going back on this horse. You've been down on the ground a little too long, you're getting
Hmm.
comfortable.
Hmm.
So those things are that what keeps you going. Okay. I do believe that, and it is my place
Hmm.
to open these dream possibilities to my listeners, to my fellow humans, to my fellow women. Because what happens is when you open your heart, then you realize,
Hmm.
oh, there are other people like me. We
Yes, of
think
course.
that we're the only one, and we're ashamed to admit and
Yes.
recognize, oh
Yes.
my God, I must be the only one who's going through this. But it's not
Mm.
true.
That is so
We
true.
all have our trials and tribulations. We all must be able to figure out ways and ask for help from others to overcome what we go through.
And of course, this is part of your the bio that you sent us as well that I studied. You are a megaphone. That your message, you're destined. Everyone is destined to thrive in life and not only survive. And this message, I'm sure, also resonates for everyone. Like you said, everyone is going through something, and you never know. It might be similar to your story as well, similar to whatever struggles that we are going through. But one way to truly overcome that is patience, consistency, and having your lighthouse. I love those. I love the patience part. I know that I myself need to have a bit more patience. Consistency is very key. We have to do that every day. But I love that you acknowledge consistency to be kind to yourself, or consistency to fill your cup, because you have to have self love. You have to love yourself first in order we can, to spread that message around. You can never pour from an empty cup. But of course, that was not possible without the lighthouse, without the support that we are receiving, that around us. And Dr. Luisa, I love the message. I love that the bravery, the courage that you're sharing to us, and everything that you've overcome has led you to us today, to sharing this story and sharing it to. I just feel honored, is what I want to tell you. I am glad to have you on here, Dr. Luisa. I'd love to give you this opportunity. Where can we find the book? Where can we connect with you? Where you're more active in? Where can we learn more about Dr. Luisa Kiprono?
So, Joshua, you can find me on social media and
Mhm,
Facebook and
mhm,
Instagram and LinkedIn.
mhm,
You can get to all those venues through my both websites. I have
mhm,
two websites. One is my business,
mhm.
and that is telemedmfm.com. So it's telemedmfm.com. I am a high risk pregnancy physician and I
Mhm,
own my own telemedicine practice, and I
mhm,
practice full time.
mhm,
The other, of course, it's drluissak.com. That is
mhm,
my book and my
mhm,
platform
mhm,
uh, website.
mhm,
I have a newsletter that comes out every 2 weeks. I
mhm,
have all my podcasts and appearances written and
mhm.
posted for for you listeners to listen to on my
Mhm.
websites.
Yes,
Um, and I want to hear from you. I
of
really
course.
do. I have a book tour. I
Wow.
have been doing book signing events in San
Wow.
Antonio. Next
Mhm.
weekend, I am in Dallas, in
Wow.
Barnes and Nobles. The following weekend, I am in Kansas City.
Wow. Wow.
So Missouri. So I am available. I am reachable. I want to help. I want to
Yes.
help people who
Yes.
had going through struggles,
Mhm.
who need a lighthouse.
Yes.
And my dream, Joshua,
Mhm.
is to be able to have a TED talk, but also to actually
Of
have this book
course.
as part of a
Of
curriculum
course. Mhm.
for high school students, for college students that work in social work,
Mhm.
psychology, psychiatry, because
Mhm.
humans do need to be able to understand how can we get from A to Z? How can
Mhm.
we make ourselves successful? And that to me is what I want to do, be able to offer this help and guidance and how I did it. How did I do
Wow.
this and how
Mhm.
can you do it too? I want to leave my audience with a thought.
Oh,
So
please, please,
I always close with these parting questions.
please.
There's three questions that I have come up with because I guide myself with them. So I want to
Mhm.
share with my audience.
Mhm.
So what did you learn? My first question is, what did I learn?
Mhm.
I learned that the past, our past, cannot be undone.
Yes.
That we
Yes.
must let it go in order to be able to live in the
Mhm.
present and move on to the future and
Mhm.
dream
Mhm.
that
Mhm.
we can accomplish things.
Yes.
The second is um, what what really is that I want. So
Mhm.
then you hone in your dream and you grab it and don't let it
Yes.
go until you accomplish it. And
Yes.
the
Yes.
third, what's in my rainbow?
Oh,
Is
beautiful.
it my amazing abilities or my handicaps? So you
Mm.
have to move from this, oh my God, I have this handicap, from the victim
Mhm.
to,
Mhm.
hey, what are my abilities?
Yes. Yes.
That
Yes.
is your victor attitude,
Wow.
right?
Mhm.
That you can do what you want to do.
Mhm.
So, what is in your rainbow? What did you
Wow.
learn? What is your dream?
Oh. Beautiful. What if beautiful? Those are the three questions that can guide us throughout our lives. And thank you for leaving us with that one, beautiful, beautiful guidance. Dr. Louisa, I hope you continue to achieve your dreams, and thank you for wanting the same for others as well. I hope you get that TED Talk one day. I'd be excited, it's a dream of yours. And thank you for wishing the same, for the same dreams to come true for others as well. Dr. Louisa, I am truly honored again, once again, to have you here on the show. Thank you for sharing us your story. Thank you for your bravery. And thank you for your energy. Thank you for the love. Dr. Louisa, thank you for being on the show.
Thank you, Joshua, and thank you, the listeners, for taking the time and hearing my story and taking my message forward to yourselves and to your loved ones and to the world. Thank you, Joshua.
And it is truly a message to send over and spread to the world. To all our audience listeners out there, I hope you enjoyed this as much as I do. See you on the next one. Bye bye.
All right, so here's the thing. We try to get a little bit better every day, but we can't do it without you. So if you like the video, make sure to like and subscribe below. And if you have any comments, just leave them in the space under.